Hi, my name is Cece Hall and I'm an applications analyst here at LI-COR. Today I'm going to take you through how to set up your LI-600 using the embedded software and the application software. So you can find the LI-600 software on the website, so on licor.com/env. And then after you downloaded and installed the software, this is the first screen you will encounter once you start the program. So right now we don't have a 600 connected, so we are going to turn our 600 on. And then we are going to connect it to the computer using the USB. So then the software will automatically detect the LI-600 connected. So once your instrument is connected, this is the first screen you'll encounter. So we have our Explore LI-600. This is where you can set up your configurations, download data, etc. We have Eject the LI-600, so if you want to safely remove your instrument. And then we also have Offline mode, where you can access data and configurations when your instrument is not connected. So we're going to the Explore our LI-600. And here the submenus are Configuration Management. This is where we will we'll look at the configurations that are currently loaded on the instrument, and we can also create new configurations and store them in our database and upload them to our instrument. To go back to the submenus, we'll click up here and we'll go to Data Management, which is one of the other menus. So in Data Management here, this is where we download our data. So we'll download data from our instrument, and then it will be located down here, and you can select what you want to download to your computer. We'll go back to our home screen here. So next one is Live View. So in Live View, you can watch the data in real time. So for example, here we can draw, if we want to look at our conductance, right now we're not clamped onto a leaf, but we can look at our conductance, our H2O sample, and things like that, and we can change these screens. Okay, we'll go back here to our home menu. The fourth one is Connection Overview, so this is where we started. So it's going to check for updates, and we can also connect to our 600 or go back to, or eject or go back to the offline mode if we want to. I'm going to go back to Explore LI-600. So now we are ready to set up our configuration. So we're going to go into Configuration Management. And we are going to create a new configuration. So we'll click on this little plus button over here, Create New Configuration. And this takes us to our setup. So we're going to set up, we have to give it a configuration name. So I'm just going to give it Test. And then Author. It's going to be my name, so CC. And I want to include, I have a fluorometer attached, so I want to include my fluorometer options. Then we'll go down to Data Labels. So this is where you set up such things as prompting on log. So if I have prompt on log, that means that every time I make a measurement, it's going to ask me if I want to input a data label. So we're going to set up prompt on log here. And then we need to create a new data label. And this can be a number. So it can calculate the number for you. So for example, your first measurement will be 1, 2, 3, etc. And then we can have a list of items. So I'm going to set up a list. I'm just going to label this species. And then I'm going to add items to this list. So we'll add corn and another item, soybean. Okay, so now we created a data label. We'll see how we use that later when we go through the embedded software. We'll go down to Auto Mode Setup. So auto mode means that it will automatically log a measurement for you. So the instrument will determine when to log. So we'll use auto mode here. And then we can use, so it's going to look for stability criteria. So we are going to use it for both conductance and fluorescence here. And you can use these presets. So this just determines the stability. We have fast, medium, or custom. I'm just going to use fast here. We'll go down to our mark. So this is if you need to add, you clamped onto a leaf, perhaps it was, perhaps you ripped it off during the measurement, so you might need to add a remark afterwards saying something like, flag this measurement. So we'll add this here, flag. We'll go down to measurement settings. It's the next one on the list. And just a reminder, you can click up and down here. You can go however you want. You can also use these arrows here, left and right, to go between these two. So measurement settings, you can choose a flow rate, set up when to match, and then you can set up your flash configuration. So, you know, are you doing a dark adapted measurement? What's your flash intensity, and so on. We'll leave these defaults. Then you can go down to display layout. So you can select to either on the instrument display 2 items or 8 items. And we're going to display 8 items here. And I'm just going to leave the defaults for now. But you can change these and set them up however you want. Going down here to the next one, preview. So here we can see what our embedded instrument, or what the embedded software on our instrument will look like when we're making our measurements. We can also look at the data labels we created. So we have that species one. So now if we're happy with our configuration, we can click Save Configuration. You can see here how it came up in the list. So we have name, test, author CC, and it was last updated today. Now if I want to, so this is going to be stored in my local database on my computer, but if I want to pull this onto the instrument, I can either use the upload button over here, upload to instrument, or I can drag. So I'm going to drag up here to an empty slot. Upload configuration slot 3, upload. Okay, so now my configuration that I just created was added to my instrument, and I can go ahead and safely eject my instrument. Eject. So after you've safely ejected the instrument from the computer, it's going to automatically turn itself off. So before we make a measurement, we're going to turn it back on. So now we're in the select configuration menu. This is where you get every time you turn the instrument on. And at the top 2 here, we see top 2 slots, we see the 2 configurations that were already loaded on the instrument. And then in the 3rd slot here, we see the configuration that we just created. So in order to use this configuration and make measurements, we are going to select the configuration and press enter. And the instrument is automatically going to match, which is going to happen every time you turn the instrument on and select the configuration, or every so often as the event you've set up in your configuration on the computer. So now we are in the clamp to leaf screen. So this is where we're going to make a measurement. So right now we are doing an auto. We're in auto mode, so the instrument's going to detect when to log. But in order for the instrument to know when to log, we have to clamp onto the leaf. So we don't have a leaf, but we have a paper. So I'm going to clamp on here. So the instrument's going to look for stability. And once stability is reached, it's going to make a measurement until your flash is complete. So we can unclamp from this leaf. And then we're going to use the arrows to go to the right. And since we set up prompt on log, it's going to ask us every time to select a data label. So here I set it up as species. And then you can select whatever you have. So we'll select corn here. And then when we're done, we're going to press done. Flash complete. And then on the next step here, we're ready to either select a new leaf to make a new measurement, mark a record, so in case something happened to your, the record you just logged, or done new config if you want to go back to your configuration screen. So now we just went over one of the configurations that we set up. So we can also use one of the default configurations. So we'll go ahead and try this one out, the manual conductance fluorescence. So this one won't have the auto mode selected, so the user has to manually push the button when to log. And another thing that this one doesn't have set up is that prompt on log. So you have to specifically go into the data label screen if you want to add any data labels. I will show you what it looks like here. So we'll press enter, and it's going to match because it's been some time since we last matched. It's telling you not to clamp onto a leaf. So now here it's ready to go. So we're going to make a measurement. I'm going to push enter here. It's going to flash, get a data point. So now instead of going to that data label screen, it's going to take us to make a new leaf, to this screen where we can select a new leaf or be done with the config. So we're going to do new leaf. You'll get back to this first screen where you press enter to make a measurement. If you now wanted to add a data label to your measurement, and if you have that set up, you can access these by going to the right. So we can press the right button, and that will take us to the data labels. And it looks like we have an auto numbering system selected here, so we'll just kind of keep track of what measurements we're on. So we're on observation 2 right now. We could change this if we wanted to, but we'll leave it. So then done, get back here, make a measurement, flash complete, and back to this next step screen. So we'll go down here, press done new config, and we're back to the configuration screen. So that was just a brief overview of how to use the embedded software. And then whenever you're done with your measurements and you're ready to turn the instrument off, you'll do that by going to the left, so using the left arrow, and then push the power down. So now that we've collected our test data and our manually logged data, we are going to download that data. So first of all, we turn the instrument on because we turned it off. And I already have it connected to the computer, so it will automatically be recognized. We are going to go into the Explore LI-600 and then go into the Data Management tab. And in here we can see data on PFA, so the instrument, and the data was last downloaded some time ago. So we are going to download some new data. It's going to ask me if I want to download all data from instruments, and we are going to download all data. Okay, it was a successful download, and it recommends that we clear the data. That sounds fine. So you'll notice now that we have 2 data files here. So we'll have the manual conductance and fluorescence file, and then our test file. So files are going to be sorted by configuration and by date. So if we collected data tomorrow on these same using these same 2 configurations, we would end up with 4 different files. So 2 manual conductance and fluorescence files and 2 test files. So now I want to download these 2. So I'm going to select all up here and then export flash. And I also want to export my flash files, and then we'll use this export selected files. We'll create a zip folder that I'm going to save on my desktop. I'm not going to rename it, I'll just save it here. Okay, so now we will enter our folder here, and here we can see our 2 files in the zip folder. So we have our manual conductance folder and our test folder. So open up this test one, you can see here, so it's sorted by configuration. In here there's date, so we'll have today's date, and here we have our all our gas exchange and fluorescence data, and also our flash file up here. So this is what our file looked like, and here is this the corn, that label I added to my data. So that was just a brief overview of the LI-600 parameter fluorometer software. And if you need any more information, you can always go to our website or contact us directly here at LI-COR or one of our distributors.